to listing on the stock exchange. Today's topic is, I would call, a fundamental basic topic, but it's very crucial because if you notice the way startups are being done earlier versus today, there is a big difference. Earlier, the businesses were done with an intent to keep it within the family. That is why you will notice most businesses were registered as a firm or as a partnership. Large firms in Pune, like say Ranka Jewelers or Chitle Bandhu, they were not structured as a corporate because the entire focus was maintain quality, serve customers properly. But the goal was never to expand internationally, open 100 stores. But today, if you see, couple of years reach millions and billions of dollars of valuation. Like if you remember Kunal Shah's company Cred, it reached a valuation of 1 billion within 6 months. The Ola Electric company reached $1 billion valuation within 30 days. So how is all this possible? Why registering a startup is important in the right way is what I'm going to cover. So the first question we have to answer is why we need to register a startup at all. So the three reasons I would give you is, number one, for raising any finances, right, from venture capital firm, from a bank, anybody, they will ask you that give me a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year record of your company or your LLP of your business. This will not be considered as a strong record unless you have a corporate entity, because when you register a proprietorship firm or a partnership firm, your entity is not different from you, right? All the income of your entity gets clubbed with your own personal income. So these are not separate two entities. There are no two separate PAN cards. So the first recommendation to all of you is either go for a LLP or a company, private limited company. I'll talk to you what is the difference, etc. So the first reason is within 2-3 years, you should have enough records, enough, good balance sheet, PNL, your GST returns are there, so that whenever you go out in the market, people take you seriously, people take your record seriously. That's one. Second, whenever you want to unlock value is give shares of your business to somebody else. It is not possible if you're a proprietorship or a partnership. You have to be a private limited company where you can issue shares, when you can increase your valuation and so forth. And lastly, I feel everybody as an entrepreneur, once you, decide on your product or service, once you have earned a few 5-6 lakh rupees, you have to think long term and you have to think of listing on the stock exchange. Now, for listing on the stock exchange, you need a minimum of 3 to 5 year strong record, strong compliance. Your taxation, your GST and other compliance has to be perfect. And you have to be profitable, right? On an upward trend, if you have to actually go and list. Companies typically take in today's era around 8 to 10 years to reach the listing stage. But before that, there is a pre-seed, seed, series A, B, C. All those rounds start within the first 2-3 years itself. I have seen many startups losing out on opportunities, losing out on investment purely because their records are not good. Even on Shark Tank, you must have seen that many founders get a deal from the sharks. But when the due diligence starts, when a person like me or a professional who's a CA or a lawyer start looking at your books, they find that nothing is there, and then you lose out that opportunity. So these are the few important reasons why you should do it. The last important reason why an entity is important and why I also registered is that things can go wrong, especially if you're a cosmetic brand where you're applying things on your skin or consuming some gummies or something. If you're a food and beverage brand, if you're a restaurant, there are so many industries where the risk is very high. If somebody starts vomiting after consuming a product, does a legal case on you, a company sort of protects you and creates a limited liability for you, which means even if the court gives an order against you for say 2 crore rupees compensation, your liability is limited to the shares that you hold in the company, which might be of 1 lakh rupees or 5 lakh rupees, depends on how you have structured it. But the remaining amount is wiped out. Your personal assets, your personal savings, your family assets, your family savings, they are never in touch. And I remember in Pune, I had read about a medical professional, a doctor, who had a very good practice. I will not take his name, but one person died on his operating table, and that person was a famous politician. And after that, his practice completely stopped. There was a medical negligence case filed on him. All his personal assets also went into that because he had not set up a corporate entity to shield him from unlimited liability. So these are the few reasons why you should register. And I think there is, if you ask me when you should go by registering, so I always say creating these entities is like having these white elephants. White elephants are very expensive to maintain. And unless the elephant is earning some source of revenue, you'll have to keep putting it out of your pocket. So the right time to register your entity, according to me, is once you have a basic proof of concept, once you have served at least a few customers, and all this you can do on your own personal account, right? Few up to I say 10 lakh rupees, you can do it on your own account, no problem. But the moment you realize that, okay, I have got some product or service, some customers are actually buying it, I think that is the right time to form a company. Please do not form a company as a tick mark approach that I will let me form it and I will use it later when I'm ready. It is very unfortunate for me to see that when I form around 15 companies every month, at the end of the year in March, I close down almost 12 of them. Three of them survive. So I always tell the founders, why do you have this hurry of forming? Focus on your product, focus on your service, focus on getting some customers, focus on then paying you. That should be your focus as a businessman, not getting a company and all these legal issues in place. This can come later. Forming a company takes around just 10 working days. It's very, very fast and efficient. So that is the right time, according to me, for forming. Now, in certain cases, you are working on a very innovative product. In those cases, or in certain cases, you need some licenses even before you serve one customer. Like I said, the restaurant industry, you need a food FSSAI license. Or if you're a software company, you need an import export code, right, to service a different person, different business in a different country. Only if it is mandatory, you should register your entity on day one. If it is not mandatory for you, please wait, earn at least 5 to 7 lakh rupees, and then form your company. Now, what are some options in India which allow you? What are the types of businesses that you can register? So the first type is a very simple type. It is called a proprietorship, or where it's very simple, 1,000 rupees. You can do it yourself. Go to this Maharashtra website, the Gumatsa website, create a basic shop act license for yourself. This is primarily for those people who are doing something on the side, who are freelancers. This is not for serious businesses or people who are planning to raise investment. The problem with proprietorship is whatever will be the income of the proprietorship, that will be clubbed with the income of the proprietor. For example, if I have a company called Kunal, Sarpal and Associates, and that company earns, let's say, 1 crore rupees every year, that 1 crore will be added to my income. There is no separation. The second biggest problem with proprietorship is it has unlimited liability. It does not shield you. It just gives you another current account to operate with. This is suitable for those who are planning less than 10 lakh rupees of turnover every year and who are just, baby steps into the startup process. You don't require a CA for this. You don't require a lawyer for this. You can do it yourself. It's an extremely simple procedure. It takes just one day, maybe a couple of 30-40 minutes, you can get it registered. So that is step one. Step two, when more than one person come together to do a business, to try out something, again on a small scale, it would be called a partnership firm. A partnership is two proprietors coming together. A partnership firm, again, it is suitable for people who are just trying out. It's less than 10 lakh rupees turnover. And the problems with partnership will remain as the problems with proprietorship. You have unlimited liability. There is no difference between the firm and the partners. Your income will be clubbed. Only there is one category that you can go for is a registered partnership. In a registered partnership, the partnership firm will get its own PAN card. It will get its own current account. That is advisable if you want some safety and you want some distinction. A registered partnership also helps you in terms of tax saving. lot of expenses that partners incur in their personal capacity can be billed to the partnership firm. So I think that is very suitable for if there are two people starting a new business. And this is good, for the first year or the first 2 years till you reach up 10 lakh or whatever decent size of a turnover. These are very easy for you. For a partnership firm, I would recommend you to consult a good CA or a good lawyer, because there will be a requirement of making a partnership deed. There will be a required of getting an MSME certificate, a GST registration. So for all this, they are a little bit complex. They have to be done properly. The businesses that you are doing have to be properly selected. So basically, some professional should help. Again, cost wise, it's very, very reasonable. I think within 15,000 rupees, your partnership firm should be set up. And most companies, what I'm seeing even today in Pune, more than 50%. Pune has that, right? That we want to keep it within the family. We are earning X amount per month. We are happy. But when you go to places like, say, Mumbai, you go to Hyderabad, Bangalore, Delhi, you will come to the next. The next is called a one-person company. A one-person company is for those who want to have a proprietorship only, but they also want to have a limited liability, right? So you can form a company as a single person, but with limited liability. So it has all the advantages of proprietorship and no disadvantages of the proprietorship. So it's very, very good. I highly recommend a one-person company. And so that's more or less about OPC. Now, if you want a partnership firm with a limited liability and you want to limit the risk that you are taking, then you form a limited liability partnership or a LLP. In my case also, my company, as sir introduced me, is White Collar Legal LLP. Why did I form my LLP? Because suppose we make a mistake and a client takes legal action against us, again, we have a limited liability. Our liability is only limited to the percentage of shareholding, which might be 1 lakh, 5 lakh, whatever. It does not exceed that. So LLPs are extremely advisable for those who are into services. If you provide, because see, India, if you notice Indian economy, you will notice that a bulk of it comes from services. Companies like Infosys, TCS, they're all service providers. So if you are also a service provider, I recommend the LLP option for you. It is the most suitable, very flexible, very less in compliance, and very easy to maintain. Now comes the big daddy, which is the most popular, is the private limited company. This is suitable for those who have created a prototype, who have a few customers, and who plan to grow very fast, who want to give their shares to an investor, who want to grow like, startup is growing. This is suitable for products also, trading also, services also. No matter what business you do, a private limited is suitable for you. I was very clear when I started the firm that I'm operating at very good margins, right? Lawyers who are into services, we operate at 70-80% margin. So I never require external funding. But if you're a startup that requires additional funding, you're going to burn a lot of money. Then I think the best suitable entity for you is a private limited company. You require minimum 2 people to start it. And again, the process of creating it just takes 10 to 12 days. And it gives you all the benefits. It gives you complete legal liability, limited liability. It will LLP and company, they can last forever. If you see a company like Coca-Cola today, it is registered in 1800s. For 150 years, it's running. If you see Tata Group, 150 years, India is 75 years old, Tata Group is 150-year-old. And that company will keep continuing, right? Ratan Tata passed away, JRD Tata passed away, but Tata Group still stays alive. So for those who are planning a very long-term legacy kind of a business, should only go for these uh, corporate style of businesses like LLP, OPC, and a private limited company. The problem with private limited company are two. Number one, it is high on compliance. What is compliance? Compliance means audit, reporting, paperwork. So you will have to spend up to 25 to 45,000 maintaining a private limited company every year. If you're doing a good turnover, then you will feel, oh, 45,000 per year is not much. But if you're not doing turnover, if your business is not working, then the 45,000 will pinch you, will hurt you, will bleed you. So I strongly recommend you private limited company only start when your business is a little, you have tried it, tested it, and you know it's working. Do not start it on day one, right? Then after private limited, the next is public limited, but it's not relevant for most of us because private limited today can have up to 200 shareholders. So I think that's more than enough, right? You can also list the company once you have a 5-year record, a good profit record, and you satisfy certain turnover and net worth requirements. So these are more or less the profit making types of doing a business. Some of you might, because you're in medicine, as you know, in India, medicine and education. So I come from ILS Law College, right? That's a trust, an education trust. I did my commerce at Ness Wadia College, which was also a trust, the Wadia Trust. So you will notice that even DY Patil will be structured as a foundation, as a Section 8 company. So when you want to do something that is not for profit, you wanted to do as charity, you wanted to create social impact, in those cases, I would recommend you to either form a trust, a society, or a Section 8 company. When you form these type of entities, you get very good income tax registrations. You get ATG, you must have heard of ATG, where if somebody donates to you, he can claim it as a tax exemption. You get 10A, you get 12A. So when you have these registration in place, it becomes very easy for you to raise CSR money, sponsorship money, donation money. And I am on the board of a few trusts. You won't believe the turnover that they do. Like one trust I'm a part of, the Wishing Factory, which is in Baroda, has a donation and a CSR budget of 25 crores every year. So people who are doing charitable work on a very big scale, very nicely, I would recommend a trust, a society, or a Section 8. Within the three, I would recommend the Section 8 company the most because uh, everything is online. There is no person to deal with. There is no corruption. There is no red tape. It's a very clean and clear corporate process. In a trust and a society, commissioner to deal with, there is some amount of corruption and those things. I would not recommend that to you. You should always do a business in a clean way and not all, focus on these things. So I think these are the types, right from proprietorship to a Section 8, different types of entities. Now the question is how to register them, right? This is the most important. What are the minimum eligibility criteria for it? So the minimum eligibility criteria for each of them is you need one resident individual, a person who's a citizen of India and a resident of India. How do I say resident? Resident means you have been in India for the last 182 days. That is 6 months. So that is compulsory. That person needs to have his own, registered house or a rental agreement or whatever. Your Aadhaar and PAN card is used. Your DIN number is created. Your digital signature is created. So all these form part irrespective of what you want to form. Once all this is created, we start by blocking your name. So first homework that I would give all of you who are planning is at least think of 5 names for your company because most names are already registered, most names are already gone. And when you check your name, you should also check for not just company availability, but you should check for domain name availability. If you register a certain brand and the website is only not available, what will you do? Or you register your company and the trademark is not available. Some other company has trademarked it. What will you do? So it's very important that whatever you're calling your company, you have bought the domain name, you have filed the trademark application, and then you reserve the name of the company. I have been part, so my specialty is intellectual property, patents, trademarks, copyrights, all that. And I have fought so many cases at the High Court, at the Supreme Court, at the NCLT, where businesses have to lose 20-year-old name, 6-year-old name after spending so much money, time, and effort in those names. So it's very painful to see. So my advice to all of you is try to go for a name that is clean. The search report is clean. There is nobody else using it. Then you start spending time, money, and effort on that. So that is step one, name reservation. Step two. Step two is getting everything between you and your founder, you and your partner sorted out. So maximum startups are closing today, not because they are not doing better business or not because their product is bad or a service is bad. Many are quitting because of the ego issues between founders. Initially, what happens? Kunal is my friend. Let me do a business with him. We are both investing one lakh each. Sab acha hoga. You start with very good motivation, right? You start with very positive notes. But as the business starts working, he will say, Are Kunal is not working as much. I am only bringing the business. I am only serving the business. And Kunal just sits in the office, sends a few emails. He's not working hard, but he's 50% owner. So all these clashes will start. Once money starts coming in, you will say, let's withdraw 25,000 a month and rest of the money, we will pump it back into business. But Kunal might say, no, I want 1 lakh salary because I have a wife and a child. I have to pay home loan EMI. I have to pay my car EMI. So all these issues have to be sorted out on day one. Who will operate bank account? Who will, on which amount single sign will be required? On which amount dual signatures will be required? Who will do what work? How will that work be measured? If you want to separate the partnership, who will keep the clients? Who will keep the brand name? Uh, so how will the dispute resolution be there? If you say that disputes will be resolved by courts, then you have to wait for your grandchild to get the money. It's very, very slow process. So dispute resolution should be through mediation. We will both appoint a certain respected person. Whatever that person gives us an order will be final order. This is known as conciliation, mediation, arbitration. You can choose any of this. Never put dispute resolution through courts unless you like, if you like going to courts and wasting money, then it's your decision. But I personally recommend don't do it. Then what else? So these are known as the foundation documents of a company. Your partnership deed, your LLP deed, your memorandum and articles of association. These have to be studied, discussed, and concluded between the parties. Because tomorrow, if dispute happens, both of you know what will happen. It's clear. The divorce will happen very amicably in a structured manner. The biggest mistake people do is they go to these online companies or random CA, some reference, and they say, "Hamara ek company bana do, hum ye business karenge." They don't focus on these aspects. They don't focus and discuss these aspects, and that is one of the biggest mistake. Even if you're doing it with a family member, with a very dear friend of yours, take my recommendation. Discuss these things on day one and then proceed. Extremely important. Once you have discussed all this, the next activity is to identify what all business that you will do. So companies like, I have a client called Alpino Foods he was into peanut butter trading. He was a farmer. He used to start growing peanuts and then selling those peanuts. And today he has become the second largest brand in India who is selling peanut butter products. He's selling oats also. Shilpa Shetty is the ambassador. He's doing 5 crores of sale every month. That's 60 crores every year. And we had to separate a lot of items, one for purchasing, one for e-commerce. So you have to understand what is the product you're providing, what is the service you're providing, and accordingly draft the business objectives. And try to make the business objectives very wide so that you don't have to keep changing them. Try to foresee that what will happen in 5 years, 10 years, and make the business objective very wide. Right? That's your next step. And lastly, when it comes to proprietorship and partnership, you can, I think, do it yourself, you can manage it. But for LLP and company and OPC, like I said, you please consult a good professional who advises you on the procedural aspects and gets it done for you. Never sign a document that you don't completely understand. You can ask for the document to be provided in Hindi to you, Tamil to you, Marathi to you, whatever, but do not sign. Because in some cases, what happens, you hire someone as their lawyer and the other person does not hire anybody. So the entire document is prepared lopsided in favor of one person. So either the best thing is that both parties hire a common person so that cost saving is there. And if you realize that somebody else has hired somebody, always take professional help so that tomorrow you are not in the weak side, right? So these are some procedural steps when you form a company. The cost of forming in all of this in terms of government fees is less than 5,000 rupees. Professionals will charge you differently based on their experience, their expertise, how good they are, and so on and so forth. But the actual cost of forming is very, very less. Now, I think I've talked about procedure. I've talked about types. Now, let me talk to you about some experiences of how doing all this has benefited my clients and some people in the industry that I've observed. Number one, when you start a business and you start approaching companies, you start approaching customers, there is a lot of credibility attached if you are a registered corporate entity. So if I go as Kunal, Sarpal and Associates, they understand that I am a proprietorship, I am a partnership. Credibility is not as much. But if I go there as white collar legal LLP or white collar investment services private limited, it creates a different impact, right? So number one is credibility in the market. Number two is lot of companies who are large companies, they will refuse to work with you. They will refuse to even onboard you as a vendor if you are not having all these corporate registrations in place. Not just a private limited and a LLP, they will also want your GST to be perfect, your MSME registration to be perfect, your startup registration to be perfect. So for those who are planning to work with large corporate bodies, my sincere recommendation is please go for a corporate registration. Next, if you are planning to apply for government tenders, now government tenders have application has become very easy. There is a portal known as GEMS portal. If you go and register on that portal, and you will get lot of projects where you can bid for those projects. How is the bidding done? Bidding is done by a closed process. Nobody knows how much anybody has bid, and the projects are open to all MSMEs. So I know so many clients who have got a 20 crore government project and they were less than a 1 year old company. This is thanks to the initiatives that the government has taken. This is also available only for a company or a LLP which is registered under Startup India. Now, there is another benefit. If you register under this scheme, you get 3 years of tax break. No tax to be paid. In India, tax is paid at 30% on an average. If you save tax for 3 years, you are saving 90% tax. Imagine how good that is. Again, available only to a Startup India registered company or a LLP. Now, your trademark protection, your patent protection, it can be done better if you are a corporate registered entity. There are many funds like Central Government Credit Guarantee Fund, the Mudra Loan Fund, the E&E network. All those again are applicable only for LLPs and private limiteds. Now you should wonder, why is the government so focused on LLPs and companies? Why are they not giving these benefits for proprietorships? Why are they not giving these benefits for partnerships? The answer is simple. The government wants to give these benefits to formal, professionally run, clean businesses. Because in a proprietorship and a partnership, nobody can see your balance sheet, nobody can see what you have filed. But in a company and an LLP, everything is transparent, everything is open, and therefore the government also recommends you and incentivizes you to form a corporate entity. Next, in terms of transferability. So I always say, earlier people used to start a business to pass it to their children. But now I know so many business owners whose children are abroad or children are doing something completely different. They are not interested in daddy's or mummy's business. In that case, if you have a company or an LLP, it is very easy to transfer your shares to somebody. I had a recent case where this dentist family came to me. They have more than 30 outlets, 30 franchises of dental work. And the total value of those 30 franchises was close to 65 crores. I said, sir, what is your plan? You are now 69 years old. How many years? So he said, I will work for a few years more and then I will pass it to my son, who was also becoming a doctor. The son ended up becoming a gynecologist and nothing to do with dental. So we sold his entire practice to Apollo Pharmacy. So Apollo bought the entire 30 outlets for a total value of 75 crores. Uncle was very happy that whatever he had worked, so in his entire life till 69 age, he got some value for it. And the son was very happy that he did not have to pursue his father's line of business. So that was only possible because uncle had a private limited company. If it was a proprietorship, it would have been extremely difficult. So if you are going to transfer full ownership or part ownership of your business, you have to have a corporate entity. Next, I think the main advantages are two. One is long-term stability, right? Uh, when I tell you I have worked for 10 years, it feels like just 2, 3 years, right? The time really passes very fast. But today, when I'm in the market for 10 years, where my books have gotten strong, where so many clients have been added, one person recently called me to an event. I had gone to Chennai to attend this startup event. And they introduced me that Kunal runs a company. The value of that company is 200 crores. And I'm like, where did you get this number? So he said, sir, we took your revenue and we multiplied it by 10 because you're a service business. So that is the valuation you get. So although we are doing 20 crores as turnover, the valuation of my company has become 200 crores. So if I give 50% to somebody, I can take 100 crores and retire tomorrow, move to Goa, leave everything. So all that is possible because all my books are clean. All my business is on the books. I have one branch in Surat, as you heard in the introduction. In Surat, what happens? People to save, not in Surat, in Gujarat, Rajasthan, UP, Bihar, people don't want to pay taxes. They want to do business in cash. They don't want to make their book strong. So what happens is, even after 10 years in business, they have nothing as a record. They cannot list their company. They cannot sell their company because the person bungalow of 10 crores and driving a BMW. But when you see his books, the books will say turnover of 30 lakh rupees. How is that possible, right? So my suggestion is do not think short term. Do not think small, like tax bach jayega. I will pay less to the CA. Don't think about this. Think long term. Make your book strong. It really helps. Again, I'll give you one more example. I was invited by a client of mine to go to the US, come and meet some of his contacts. And he gave me just 2 months. And I don't know if you're aware, but getting a US visa almost. But because I submitted my personal bank statement along with my company's records, my company records were very strong and my visa got passed in a Tatkal application. And within 20 days, I had the passport visa in hand for 10 years in the US. So see, look at the benefits. It's not just money, but so many other benefits are given to you if your books are strong, if your numbers are strong. So think long term, makes your book strong. Pay a little tax. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. And I think the last thing I would like to leave you on before I take your questions is every business, should be made in such a way that you can serve hundreds and thousands of businesses, hundreds and thousands of customers. This is known as scale. Lot of people are self-employed, but they call themselves business. Is that where without the owner's contribution, the business will fail. Whereas a business is that where the owner's contribution does not matter after some time. So when you form a company on an LLP, after 3 or 5 years or 10 years, your contribution should not matter. The business can run on its own. It can sustain on its own. That should be the whole model. And in a company, you can appoint directors. You will notice that's how family businesses operate. They are the promoters, they hold the shares, they become part of the board of directors, and then they appoint a professional from, say, IIM Ahmedabad or some other very good college to run that company as a professional CEO. I am very young to say this, but I have planned that in the next 5 years, I will also move to a board of directors role and appoint a young lawyer with 5, 7 years of experience as a CEO to run my company. That's how the progression should be. Only then can you grow your business, open new branches. Otherwise, you will remain, a Pune person serving Pune people, small practice. That should not happen. So yeah, overall, I think this is all I wanted to share with you. Uh, One or two things I will share, which is very beneficial for all of you is, number one, the government has made the process of registering entities, closing entities, transferring entities extremely simple. It happens online within a week's time. It's extremely efficient. Twenty twenty 2013, it was a very inefficient system. Papers were involved, going to the government office was involved, paying some money to them was involved. Today, nothing of that is there. It's a clean process. Second, these are not static. You can always change a LLP to a company to an OPC, and OPC to a, they're all dynamic. So once you form something does not mean it's going to stay like that. You can change it based on your needs. So I always say you should start with a one-person company, then make it a LLP, then make it a private limited company, right? That is the proper progression. And ultimately, if everything is good, if the stars and God is in your favor, you will list the company on stock exchange one day, like Zomato has, like Ola has, like Paytm has, right? Paytm listing, we were involved. So it was a wonderful process for us also. So yeah, I think I've covered all the important bits. I saw there were some questions when I was talking, but I didn't want to break the flow. But please, whatever questions you have, I'm happy to answer now, one by one. Yeah.
So thank you very much, Mr. Kunal. It was really a wonderful session. We got to know about right from the how to register the startup company, different types of companies, their details about how many participants, how many stakeholders, and cost involved, government procedures, minimum eligibilities, do's and don'ts, and many more things. So participants, if you have any questions
Yeah.
with respect to the registration of startup and their benefits, please post on the chat box. So meanwhile, sir, we will ask few questions from our end.
Yeah.
So for to take the benefits from the startup India, which company should be established and how the procedure would be?
It has to be compulsorily an LLP or a private limited. And
Okay,
the procedure is the procedure I mentioned. You have to have minimum two people. You need to have a director identification number. You need to have a digital signature certificate. And then the process starts, name application, foundation documents. So it's a process.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, one feedback I would like to give the participants here is try to work with a professional who has come through a reference. Do not work with online professionals, because if you transfer money to them and they don't deliver to you, you don't even know where they are sitting. So
Right,
please choose somebody who is coming through reference and whose office you have seen, right? In the same city at least.
right. Very important message. Now, so we are the academic institutes, and
Yeah.
many of the students are at their graduation or at their post graduation. And if
Yes.
somebody from them are aspire to have the company, so at what, as you mentioned, at which stage the private limited or the LLP should be established? But the questions like how much cost it is involved after registration, how much expenses they need to pay, and what documents they required to have, and can they establish the company during their education? So these are the few questions that we always heard from the students. So can you please answer this question?
So as far as when I was a student, the college was very clear that you are a full-time student. So they discouraged us from being a full-time employee or from being a full-time director in any company. So I'm not sure what is the policy at DY Patil, but at my colleges it was not allowed. So let me know. I mean, I think you can answer that question once you talk to the management. At the same time, uh,
Yes, yes.
when
From
you are a student, I feel you should focus more on what product or service you will offer. uh, you should try with some customers on a beta level. Is it working? You should conduct a survey. How much are they willing to pay? Do they actually pay? So I think that experimentation process should be done when you are a student, so that once you graduate, you can immediately then form a company.
right. And how much cost it involved? Like if someone who wants to involve register a private limited company, then how much consultancy cost and fees of certain government uh,
Like I
forms
said,
and all?
the government fee would be 5-6 thousand. Rest would be professional fee. Total should be 15 to 18 thousand, not more than that. And I think the total time taken should vary between 7 days to 12 days, not more than that.
Okay. And what documents are they required to register this
So
private
their
limited company?
identity proof, their address proof, their DIN number, their digital signature, and a registered office. So they will require the uh, either their house or their office to be shown as the office of the company. So identity, address, and address of office. These three things.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Huh.
here I want to clarify that your own house can be also be treated as your office address till you get an actual office. Because when
Right.
I started the firm, I did not have an office. It was registered at my house in Vimannagar. After 2 years, when I actually took an office, I bought the office now. So now all the addresses have become my office.
Right. Thank you. And after registering this company, suppose by any student, then how much expenses they need to pay every year if they are not getting any revenue out of their product?
I would say start forming a company after at least 2-3 lakh revenue. Otherwise,
Okay.
don't form it.
Okay.
But to answer your question, it's around say roughly about 20 to 25,000 per year to maintain the company.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Thank you very much, sir.
That's why I said it's a white elephant if you are
Right.
not doing business.
Right. Right. Um, One more question, sir. Okay, there is one question in chat box. What are the benefits of Startup India in and private limited, in and private industries?
So three major benefits. One is you don't pay tax for 3 years, which is a very big benefit. Investors love it. Second is whatever government registrations you're doing, be it patent, trademark, whatever, you get a 50% discount. That's very good, right? And third, whatever application you file, you will be put under fast track. So a patent normally takes 18 to 24 months to register. But if you are registered under startup, the patent will be processed in 6 to 8 months. If you are, and last, the fourth most important one, the government has created a grant which is of around 10,000 crores, out of which each startup can apply up to 25 lakh rupees. In Pune, for example, there is AIC Pinnacle, Bhau Institute with COEP, MIT. They're all registered incubators who are authorized to distribute this fund. So if you come from a family or if from a background where you cannot invest any money in your startup, you can collect the grant money and use that to start.
Right.
And it's a fairly simple process. You have to give them a presentation, answer some questions. If they feel that you are genuine and you deserve the money, the entire process can be done in 1 month's time.
Great. I
And
hope.
25 lakhs is a very good amount to
Right,
start
yes,
with.
yes. It's a good amount to develop the prototypes and take it forward. Right.
So I would request you to talk to the management at DY Patil and become a incubator yourself.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Actually, we have Section 8 companies, and at DP Unitech Foundation, we also have the incubation center.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh,
Lovely.
yeah. Sir, in continuation with this, I just want to know that we have the Institution Innovation Council, and we think about to have the startup registration cell.
Yeah.
So as you in your talk, you mentioned the different terms like having a lawyers, mentors that will help in the technical parts. Then
Yeah.
someone to help with respect to investment, the financial aspects, the government
Yes.
fundings or seed fundings.
Yes.
Then there is someone to whom we can collaborate and have them as a directors and even the dispute resolution and many more things. Okay, so to have the ideal startup registration cell, who should be the members who are on the board? So what is your opinion or guidance on this particular thing, and how this
So
should be take forward?
So I'm part of this committee known as Kapila Committee. You must be knowing.
Yeah,
It
I know,
is
sir.
a
Yeah.
part of a IIC SC only. So this committee typically comprises of members. For example, one person who will be the CEO of the Section 8 company, he will be the chairman of this committee, along with a professor, like, for example, yourself, who will be a dedicated professor who is handling all his teaching and administrative duties, and also the startup related queries. There will be a chartered accountant who will come and be given financial guidance. There will be a lawyer who will give legal guidance. There will be one person who will bring investor connects, how to bring different kinds of experts to give talks, all that. There will be a person who will be an expert in government schemes. There will be a person. So I think once you hire the right kind of people, then students will start applying to this very, aggressively.
Right.
One, I think MIT, I have to take a job in how they have created this committee. We should try to copy their model.
Sure.
Yeah.
Uh, so are you member of any academic institute in Pune or nearby, uh, who is having this kind of cells? Like one you told is MIT, and similar
I'm
like
part
this.
of MIT. I'm part of
Uh,
Flame. I'm part of Symbiosis. I'm part of Tata Institute in Bombay, and I am
okay,
Ahmedabad Center for Innovation and Incubation.
great, sir. Great to know. Yeah. So we would
But we
also
only
like to,
have, one online meeting every month.
right, sir.
So, and one offline annual general meeting every year. So
Okay,
it's not, does not take much time of mine.
right, sure, sir. Uh, so I think there are no any particular questions.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that there are no specific questions in the chat box, sir. We would really like to have you in our physical meeting also with our principals, sir, HODs, and senior faculties, so that we can discuss about how we can take this forward,
Yeah,
and to have the startup registration cell at our institute, and how the white collars LLP will help in this regard.
sure. I actually want to propose something that
Yeah,
I work a lot in pharmaceutical patents.
great, sir.
Glenmark and Cipla are my very good clients. So I would like to do one session for all the final year or students
Sure, sir.
on how to register pharmaceutical patents, and how
Wait.
once you are registered it, how to monetize it. So
Okay.
maybe we can plan it sometime.
Surely, sir. Surely. Uh, So, with this, I will conclude this session with your permission, sir.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, this was a really wonderful session, and we got to know the many things regarding the startup registration process, legal and financial aspects. Sir also guided and answered all the questions of participants and of from the DPU ISSL. So thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful session, and we uh, really thanks, and will would like to have your tie-ups in our future
Sure,
activities of ISC.
sure.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
So I will end this meeting.